Hello everybody, back again with another video. Hope you're doing well. Hope your life's going well. Hope this week has gone well for you and hope that today has gone well for you. Today is Saturday. It is July the 19th, 2025. It is about 8:57 a.m. Central Standard Time, and I hope that y'all are having a wonderful weekend so far, and I hope it's been a fun and productive Saturday for you. So in this video, I want to talk about some careers that I personally believe will still be around in the next 10 years. And I want to come on here and talk to you all about this because as we all know, AI is taking over a lot of jobs. A lot of jobs in the white collar sector. Jobs such as software engineering, jobs in the computer science space, jobs in the financial field, etc. Also jobs such as customer service, jobs that are repetitive as well, such as certain jobs that are worked in manufacturing, jobs like data entry, etc., etc. Many different jobs are essentially being taken over by AI. And this video is for someone who perhaps is maybe going through a layoff due to artificial intelligence taking over, or perhaps someone that is in college maybe and they're studying something that is in a field that perhaps is being taken over by AI right now, like software engineering, and they're wondering about perhaps obtaining another type of skill or career, etc. So I have some different careers written down here, and I want to talk to you all about these careers because I do believe that the landscape of work in general is going to change in the next 10 years. There will be certain fields that I believe will be all but obsolete, taken over completely by AI. But I believe that there's going to be fields that are still here and are still thriving in the next 10 years. And so as AI takes over certain fields, here's some different careers that I believe will still be around in the next 10 years. So the number one type of career that we're going to talk about are the trades. More specifically, plumbers, electricians, auto mechanics, HVAC technicians, welders, carpenters. We can throw in certain construction jobs in there, right? Construction management, etc. I believe that these are going to be jobs, careers that are going to be around in the next 10 years. I mean, think about plumbing. How is AI going to take over plumbing? How is a robot going to take over plumbing? I just don't see it in the next 10 years. I mean, if you ever watched a video on YouTube about, the different types of jobs that a plumber has to do, I just don't see a robot being able to do what they do, at least within the next 10 years. Same thing with electrician. I mean, there's a lot that goes into being an electrician. I don't see a robot or some sort of AI being able to take over being an electrician, right? Auto mechanic. I don't see it either. That sort of skill set, I just don't see a robot being developed. And you have to remember with cars too. Each auto manufacturer has a certain way that the inside of their engine is made. And so you would have to be able to program some sort of robot to know exactly how to get to each part on every single make, model, and year, of different vehicles. And I just don't see it within the next 10 years. Now, I will say, with auto mechanic, it is best to learn how to operate on EVs as well. So that's something that if you're a current mechanic right now, it would be best to add that additional skill set onto what because EVs are definitely getting more and more popular. I'm seeing more and more EV charging stations being added all over, right? Inside the city, even out past the suburbs. I'm seeing more and more EV stations, right? There's a Walmart that I've seen EV stations at, like literally EV stations toward the back of a Walmart parking lot. So, and those have only been installed for like a few years now. And so you can definitely tell that they are trying to improve the infrastructure for EVs, electronic vehicles. And so that's why I would say if you're an auto mechanic, you definitely want to adapt and learn how to operate on EVs. But there's still gonna be a huge demand for just your regular traditional auto mechanic within the next 10 years or so. And so that's a career that personally I don't see AI or some sort of robot taking over that in the next 10 years. HVAC technicians, I just don't see it. Let's see, welding. It's funny. I was at a welding school not too long ago, and the parking lot was completely full. I was actually making a delivery to like this welding school, and the parking lot was full. It was full. A lot of people are getting into welding because welding is just not going to be taken over by robots in the next 10 years. At least I personally don't see it. That's still a job that is in demand. And then there's different ways you can specialize in welding. The one that I know of is underwater welding. And I've heard that pays a lot, although that job there's a pretty good amount of risk you're taking when you do underwater welding, though. Welding in general it's definitely a job where you definitely need to follow safety protocols, because welding in general is pretty dangerous. Trades in general are dangerous, but it's honest work and it's going to be around, and the pay is still pretty decent, right? And so welding is still good. I think it's going to be around in the next years as AI continues to take over. Let's see, certain construction jobs, construction management, project management. I believe these careers are going to be here in the next 10 years. I mean, there's always some sort of construction going on, always, whether it's roads being improved, roads being built, different structures being built, residential structures, commercial structures. There's always going to be a need for construction, and I just don't see a whole bunch of robots creating huge structures or residential structures within the next 10 years. I just don't see it. And so I believe that'll still be around in the next 10 years. I have truck driver on here, but here's the thing about trucking. And by the way, that's the industry that I work in, and I have a pretty good amount of knowledge about. And here's the thing with trucking. Self-driving trucks are already on the road, but within the next 10 years, do I see an AI program, an AI self-driving truck, a self-driving truck taking over trucking as a whole? I don't see it. I believe that there's going to be certain types of trucking jobs that AI will probably take over. And I believe that OTR, over the road trucking, will be the main type of trucking that'll be taken over by AI. More specifically, OTR, dry van, non-hazmat. I believe in the next 10 years that we'll really start to see that getting taken over by AI. But that's why in trucking, I tell people all the time that's just getting into this industry, you need to specialize. You need to get your hazmat endorsement, right? You need your tanker endorsement, right? You need endorsements that are going to be able to set you apart from your average OTR, dry van, non-hazmat truck driver, because there's a lot of those out here, but there's not as many people that are willing to haul hazmat. There's not as many people who are willing to haul fuel or, dangerous chemicals and stuff like that. And so I just don't see a self-driving truck hauling hazmat fuel within the next 10 years. Think about the fact that if that AI program messes up and it's hauling a tanker full of fuel, do you know the catastrophe that could cause if that AI program messes up and crashes? Even if self-driving truck manufacturers and stuff, the software, the people that make the software for the self-driving trucks, even if they advertise that their software is safe, I don't know if there's going to be a whole lot of hazmat tanker companies that are going to be purchasing these trucks right away, because again, a hazmat tanker crash can be catastrophic, like on a whole nother level. And so that's why I say I don't see self-driving trucks taking over hazmat tanker. I don't see self-driving trucks taking over any sort of trucking job that is physical, as in you have to load and unload yourself. Now, again, if it's some job where the most physical work you're doing is rolling up some landing gear and hooking up some airlines and opening up some doors or something like that, Yeah, I mean, the potential is there for a self-driving truck to, take that over within the next 10 years. But I just don't see, another example, heavy haul. I don't see a self-driving truck doing any sort of heavy haul work in the next 10 years. And heavy haul pays pretty good too. It's just more hazardous overall. So yeah, that's just my thing with trucking. It really just depends on what you're doing, right? And local work, city driving, I don't see a self-driving truck doing city work within the next 10 years. Like, imagine a self-driving truck doing nothing but stops all over some big city, pulling a 53-foot trailer. I just don't see that in the next 10 years. Right now they're barely doing drive-in, non-hazmat with these self-driving trucks. I just don't think the technology will be as advanced within the next 10 years. So yeah, that is the trades. So another type of career that I believe will be here in the next 10 years are police officers. Police officers, I believe, will still be around within the next 10 years. I mean, there's always going to be a need for police officers in society, and so there's not going to be some AI or robotic police officer. I just don't see it. Yes, I've seen the robotic police dogs and police, what do they call them, drones or whatever, that they use in like hostage situations and stuff like that. But for that to be implemented on a mass scale, I just don't see it. You're gonna need human beings doing police work. Police work, that's just not something that you can simply just automate. You just can't do it. There's a lot that goes into a police officer's job, and so thinking you're just gonna throw a robot in a police officer's role is just, I don't see it personally. Not within the next 10 years. Not within the next 10 years. So that's police officers. I think that'll still be around. Firefighters / paramedics, I believe that'll definitely be around in the next 10 years. You're not gonna have no robotic AI firefighter / paramedic. I mean, I just don't see how you gonna have a firefighter trying to fight fires with some sort of robotic thing. And then you have to remember, a lot of firefighters are also paramedics as well, and there's just no way that some robotic person is gonna be able to, robotic machine is gonna be able to offer the same kind of care that an actual paramedic will offer to a patient that is in need of the services of a paramedic. Someone who is in distress, someone who's having a medical emergency, they're going to need a paramedic and not some computerized robot. So within the next 10 years, paramedics will still be around. I'm not worried about, firefighters / paramedics / EMTs. I throw EMTs in there as well. Emergency medical technicians. Those jobs won't be eliminated within the next 10 years. So another type of job, another type of career that I believe will still be around are chefs. And when I'm talking about chefs, I'm talking about like chefs that went through like culinary school and everything. I mean, there's just not a robot that's going to be able to replace, a good chef. A chef that is able to prepare and knows how to cook, really good, really tasty meals. And we all love a good meal. We all love a tasty meal. And so, you're going to need a chef to be able to prepare that. You think a robot is going to be able to replace that? No. Especially when it's a very, very detailed recipe. I don't see it within the next 10 years. So I believe chefs will still be around. We can throw in there professional bakers as well. People that, bake, cakes and cookies and pastries. I mean, think about like people who make like wedding cakes and stuff like that. You can't get a robot to replace that. It takes so much skill to actually be able to perfect, even creating a wedding cake. It takes skill to even make a perfect looking rose out of the icing for a wedding cake. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, a lot more than many people think, when it comes to baking and creating, tasty food. And so chefs, bakers, professional cooks, I just don't see that. Now, when we talking about like fast food, maybe that can be automated because a lot of that stuff just comes in frozen and all they have to do is heat it up. So you can probably get a robot to just heat something up, but actually creating good food from scratch, where you actually need an actual chef and it calls for a very detailed, very precise recipe. Yeah, you're not gonna get an AI robot or whatever to do that. So yeah, chefs, bakers, that'll still be around in the next 10 years, I believe. This is just what I believe. Let's see, teachers. That's the next career that I have written here. Teachers will still be around within the next 10 years. I know some people were saying that an AI can teach, but I do think that teaching will still be around within the next 10 years due to the fact that there's more to being a teacher than just teaching the material. I mean, you have tutoring students, you have grading papers, you have meeting parents, addressing behavioral problems, just being like an overall example to the students, right? And so there's a lot that goes into being a teacher, and of course there's other things that go into it as well. And so it's just not as simple as using some sort of AI program to teach students the material. And so that's why I believe teaching will still be around within the next 10 years or so. And also special education teachers as well. Those types of teachers will definitely still be around as well. I mean, there's no way that some AI program is going to be able to teach and help special education students. So that's not going to get replaced by AI within the next 10 years. So yeah, that's teaching. Another field is going to be the medical field. So we're talking medical doctors, nurses, surgeons, physical therapists, etc., etc. this field, I don't see getting automated by AI within the next 10 years as well. There's a lot that goes into these jobs. These aren't jobs that you can just throw some sort of AI robot into, because, I mean, in certain situations, we're talking about life and death. We're talking about helping people heal from injuries, helping people heal from sickness. It's just not as simple as using an AI program or some sort of AI robot to fill the role of a doctor or a nurse or some sort of medical field career. It's just not as easy to do that. Even CNAs, those will still be around in 10 years. Medical assistant, you can't get a robot to take that field over. I just don't see it. I don't see it. So definitely the medical field will be around the next 10 years. I believe that therapists and counselors will still be around within the next 10 years as well, due to the fact that even though I've heard of people using like some sort of AI chatbot as therapy, there's just no real replacement for actually being able to get help, get therapy, get counseling from an actual human being. There's just no real replacement for that. I just don't see it. I don't see it personally, not within the next 10 years. I know some people might disagree on that though, because yes, I've seen the AI chatbots. I've seen where people have used them as therapy, but it's just not the same. At least I don't believe. And the demand for real therapists, real counselors will still be there. So mental health professionals, psychiatrists, they'll still be around within the next 10 years, right? Let's see. I believe lawyers will still be around within the next 10 years. Now, paralegals, that's probably a different story, but actual lawyers where they have to argue on behalf of a client in front of a judge, I don't see an AI program being able to do that. Now, AI might be able to assist lawyers when it comes to the actual legalities of their situation, different legal research, but actually being able to take over the job completely, I don't see it within the next 10 years. There's no replacement for a good lawyer that knows how to truly argue a case, truly knows how to persuade, using their tone, using the way that they say things in order to persuade a judge to rule a certain way, or to get a judge to listen to their perspective. There's no replacement for that. At least I don't believe. And a good lawyer, a good attorney knows how to do that. So lawyers, attorneys, that's not going away completely within the next 10 years. Let's see. I have security guard here too. There's always going to be a need for security guards. I know some people might say, well, security guard, I don't pay a whole lot. I I've heard you can make decent money if you're armed and you're working certain types of jobs. So that's something to consider too as well. You know, maybe if you have a police background, you could, you know, do some security work, you know, armed security work, and, you know, make, you know, decent pay from that. I don't believe pilots are going to get replaced by AI completely either. I mean, a pilot, there's a lot that goes into that as well. I mean, obviously they have autopilot and stuff, but within the next 10 years, do I believe that the job of a pilot is going to be completely gone? There's going to be no one in the cockpit and all that? No. I don't know if there's going to be a lot of people within the next 10 years that will trust any sort of self-flying airplane. I mean, there's so much that can go wrong when you're 30,000 feet in the air. So I just don't see that job being replaced within the next 10 years. But anyway, yep, that is about it. I'm sure there's some careers that I have missed, but yeah, so not every job is going to be taken over by AI, artificial intelligence, robots, and all that. And, you know, those were some of the ones that I personally believe will still be around within the next 10 years. But there's a lot of jobs that are going to be, I believe, truly obsolete within the next 10 years. And, you know, hey. And also, now that I think about it, I don't even have this one written down, but a robotics technician. You know, because these companies, they want to implement these robots, these automated robots and stuff. So robotics, that robotics field, robotics technician, anything in that field, it might be pretty decent. It might be a growing field within the next 10 years. As a matter of fact, it will be a growing field within the next 10 years as organizations continue to implement robots. I believe Amazon has warehouses where it's mostly like robots doing the actual work inside their warehouse. And so, you know, that's something else to consider that I think will definitely still be around within the next 10 years. But yep, anyway, that is about it for this video. I definitely hope that this video helped somebody out there. I hope that it was informative to you all. And yeah, hope that you enjoyed the video. And stay tuned for more videos.